Welcome to Sports, Wheels, and Reels with Jeff Miller and Austin Horton. One show, two guys, three topics, unlimited possibilities. Presented by Mark Miller Subaru. Engage with us on social media or email us at podcast@mmsubaru.com. And now, welcome your hosts, Jeff Miller and Austin Horton.
Welcome in episode 15 of the Sports, Wheels, and Reels podcast. I'm Austin. He's Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. We've got a loaded show today.
Got lots to talk about.
So much
today.
stuff. So much stuff.
There's always stuff to talk about in the jazz.
And
movies. We got some car stuff to talk about. I got a new car.
You did get a new car, which is rare for you.
We got a giveaway. We got an amazing giveaway.
Just go right over my joke there.
Yeah.
You kind of know a guy that can get you a new car every now and then.
I do.
We have Memorial Day stuff in our Wheels segment that you want to be a part of for a couple of our great partners that we work with. And it is Friday the 13th.
It is. Hopefully nothing goes wrong.
I was going to say, so who knows what kind of...
Who knows what happens?
Well, coming up next in sports... My Friday the 13th is about to get even worse.
It is.
Because I got a bet to pay up on. We'll tell you about it next. Also, stay tuned for the whole show today because we're giving you a password to win tickets to come see Gun Maverick with us.
We got VIP theater in Holiday.
With popcorn and drink, too.
With popcorn and drink.
Not bad, not too shabby. Stay tuned. Sports, Wheels, and Reels next.
I'm Spencer Kofed, and my Subaru is Extreme Adventure. Outback's really great for my lifestyle. It has just enough space for all my gear, but it's not crazy big of a footprint. If any of my friends were looking to buy a Subaru, I'd recommend Mark Miller Subaru, so you never feel like they're hiding stuff from you. Whether it's skiing, skydiving, mountain bikes, surfing, my Subaru gets me out on my adventures. Subaru is a brand I trust, and Mark Miller Subaru is the Utah retailer that I love.
All right, before we dive into sports, again, passphrase today. You take the passphrase, you put it in on the website, and you enter to win tickets.
2 tickets to come see Gun Maverick with us.
So
early June.
Yeah, June 2nd, Thursday night, June 2nd.
At the Holiday VIP Theater, the Mark Miller Subaru VIP Theater in Holiday.
Yeah, which is my favorite theater.
That's nice.
Megaplex did a real nice job renovating that place. Have you been to the Gateway renovation? The Gateway Theater? Whew!
Did a nice job there,
They
too.
knocked that out of the park, too.
Awesome. Yeah, and you get to meet Austin, which is very important.
You can come smell me.
I'll be there, too, but you get to meet Austin.
You get to meet me.
And
you
speaking
have
of
to meet
Austin,
Jeff. Oh, go.
I won the first round bet, the NBA playoffs, so I've got a nice
By default,
little
really.
present here. Lakers flat bill hat for you.
It had to even be a flat bill? Of course it is.
It did have to be. I had to make the
Lakers
ugliest
fan flat bill.
Purple, ugly Lakers hat.
That is disgusting. Whose head has been in this?
I don't know. Put it on.
You don't know who you got this from?
I don't know where you got the BYU hat from. I know it's not yours.
Yeah, it's not. I think it was my dad's. Yeah, I got it from my dad. Oh my gosh.
There you go, man.
I don't have hair, but I'm about to get lice because
The
it's
second round is almost over though, so we'll see who wins that bet. I don't think you're gonna have an update on that one.
This is painful, man.
That hurt. Yeah, so it hurt when I wore the BYU hat too.
At least it wasn't this.
Yeah, it was bad.
This is mean.
Yeah, it's bad.
All right, so I'll wear this today. There goes all of our Jazz fans have just left.
They've all left wondering why a guy's wearing a Laker hat in the show. It's the pain of a bet. Speaking of a bet, there was a bet out there. We should have put this in the stories for sports, but before we get into Jazz,
Yeah.
it was a guy in the fantasy football league, and the bet on the fantasy football league was that the loser of the league had to enter themselves in the U.S. Open qualifier. So the guy puts himself in the U.S. Open qualifier and shoots like 119.
Oh my gosh. That's probably better than I would do.
In the U.S. Open qualifier.
That is fantastic. I love those fantasy football bets.
That's so funny.
You end up doing all kinds of weird stuff. All right, let's talk about the Jazz. And it's going to be...
the same picture we're going to show up here forever until we can know what happens.
That's right.
So we know they're playing together next season. This picture's in every episode.
Yes, or until something resolves. And then we'll just say it'll be this picture, but with a a jagged line in between it.
Yeah, so we got a Bleacher Report that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report. We got some screenshots here. He was talking about how the Jazz might, quote-unquote, run it back, Jeff, even given all the problems and all the discord and chemistry issues and failures in the postseason. He said that there is a chance the Jazz might run it back, and mostly why, as he says here, is because of the All-Star game coming to Utah. You
Make
can
sure
see
you
it.
have All-Stars playing in the All-Star game. But, okay, here's a question, though. What does run it back mean? Does that mean everybody's coming back? Does that mean just Donovan and Rudy come back? Like, so if Donovan and Rudy come back, you replace everyone else. That's not running it back.
Right.
If Donovan, Rudy, Bogey, and Conley come back, that's probably running it back. Right? I mean, they're going to make changes. The matter is how much of a change.
Well, what about this idea? And you see it highlighted there that it's of great importance for Jazz Governor Ryan Smith to have multiple players in the All-Star game. Is it that important that clearly this team that is broken, that needs fixing,
I will tell you one
just
thing
postpone for an All-Star
As
game?
someone who's listened to Ryan Smith talk about the Jazz in person on multiple occasions, that's crap.
Okay.
It is 100% crap. Ryan Smith could care less. Ryan Smith wants to build a championship team. He's going to do whatever it takes. If he can figure out a way that he could set up this team in 3 years to win a championship, and it took getting rid of both those guys, he'd do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But he's not going to do it for an All-Star game.
Yeah, especially, look, even the marketing team for the Utah Jazz, they would benefit from having multiple All-Stars, but no one around the league is suddenly going to go out and buy Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell stuff because they're in the All-Star game again in Salt Lake City.
And
that's
the
ridiculous.
The other thing on it is there's no possible way, I would bet the house on the fact that either Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell are in a Jazz jersey next year. There's no possible way both of them are gone. It's not happening.
Really?
Not happening.
Woof.
Because the Jazz aren't going to go to a full rebuild, and they're not getting full market value. They're not getting All-Stars back. If they try and trade both of them, it's for long-term future first-round picks.
Tobias Harris might suddenly be available, Jeff Miller.
I think you're getting Tobias Harris for Conley.
Really? Ugh.
Maybe you can get Conley out there.
Have the Sixers not been watching Conley? Sorry.
Conley actually had a good season.
Yeah, and then he went 0 for 10 on.
He had a horrible playoff.
And
guess what?
Catch and shoot threes.
People have bad playoff series.
Yeah.
He still had a great regular season. He's still a top 15 point guard. Right?
Yeah. Well,
top 10 point guard, maybe?
That's the top half of the league,
Yeah.
so he should be.
He's a top level starting point guard. And he's on he's making $20 million, but that's not crazy.
This next slide that you see up here, right? The next one next to it. Jake Fisher also talked about how the Jazz, according to his sources, were less than pleased that there was Knicks representation sitting courtside of Game 1 against the Mavericks, which the Jazz won. More importantly, that bottom part about Knicks president Leon Rose,
Used to work for CAA.
which is Donovan's representation.
I think it's Donovan's representation is putting all this crap out there. The Jazz aren't putting any of this. The Jazz aren't leaking any of it.
No, the Jazz aren't. Although, Kurt Heelan, in a moment, might have a good theory about Danny Ainge might be leaking some stuff, but not about this kind of thing. So then the last thing that Jake talked about is Quinn Snyder and how he has balked at a contract extension all year, and how it's been kind of kicked down the road and why that might be. Multiple sources with knowledge of the situation told Bleacher Report there was some form of a disagreement between Snyder and Utah's front office during the 2021 offseason before, of course, Danny Ainge's arrival. And I'll confirm that, Jeff.
Yeah.
There's a reason Dennis Lindsey was promoted.
Pushed out the door.
Yeah. Pushed up the ladder onto his next adventure.
And you talk about it, and so Snyder's under contract next year. He's got a coach option for the next year after that. So he's here for the next 2 years if he wants to be. But you bring in a new GM, a new guy, you're going to want to see how it goes for a year before you re-sign for long term. Like, that makes sense. Like, if I'm Snyder, I don't worry about long term with him. I think if things go well and they show some good moves in this offseason, and it sounds like Snyder and Ainge have a great relationship. Like, I think that's a lot better than it was before.
Snyder and Ainge?
I think Snyder likes Ainge better than it was before.
He definitely has a better relationship with Zanuck.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think Zanuck's going anywhere either.
No. Justin will be with the Jazz as long as he wants to be.
Yeah.
So that's what Jake Fisher said. Kurt Heelan had a response, Jeff. He said people close to the Jazz, including tapped and beat writers, have said Utah management understands the Gobert Mitchell era has run its course and it's time to move on. This is our next slide there. Yeah, you can see there on that one. Yeah.
So, I mean,
I don't know. Has it run its course and it's time to move on? Because you say there's no chance they're both gone.
they're not both gone. I didn't say one of the two is not gone. You got to take that with a grain, right? So I said there's no way both of them are gone.
Yeah,
they're gonna pick one of them.
Joking aside, I think you're right.
Yeah, they're gonna pick one of them. Either that, or they're gonna try and pick both of them, convince them both that we can put some different players around you and see what happens. But I mean, I've talked about the idea of giving Mitchell for a Tobias Harris and a Thibault kind of thing, and solidify the defense while you still have some offense. I mean, there's some moves you can make like that. I worry about there's two sides to it, though, right? So the one is you worry about Mitchell staying after his contract. Like, he's more likely to leave after his contract than Gobert, but part of it's because Gobert's 30. So Gobert, at the end of his contract, is going to be 33, 34 years old. His next contract's not going to be a max contract.
He got his money.
Yeah, his next max contract's going to be a journeyman contract, and hopefully he retires with the Jazz, right? Mitchell's next contract's going to be a $45, $50 million a year contract if he keeps playing like he is, right?
Yeah.
So which one do you tie yourself to if you're going to tie yourself to one or the other?
You tie yourself to the guy that's going to stay.
That's what you do.
For cheap.
But you only have 3 more years of him, where if you think you can keep Mitchell to his next contract, you might have another 8 of Mitchell.
I don't,
That's a tough call. I mean, I don't envy the Jazz front office right now dealing with this crap.
You also see here from Kurt Hewlin, and this is where I think he might have a point with Danny Ainge, that whole idea about the Jazz, quote-unquote, running it back because they want multiple All-Stars, whatever. He thinks it's possible that Danny Ainge may have floated something like that because he's going to entertain offers for Gobert and Mitchell, but he's not going to get lowballed.
Oh, no.
And so he's putting this out there saying, you better bring me something strong if you're going to bring me something.
Danny Ainge is going to take crap for him. He'd rather run it back with them next year than take nothing.
Yeah.
Right? He's not going to give him away for nothing just to fire yourself, because guess what? He doesn't have to. And Donovan Mitchell's, as much as his agents can go out there and talk crap and everything like that, Donovan Mitchell's not the guy who's going to pull a Ben Simmons. If he's under contract, he'll be there. He's playing.
Yeah.
Right?
And by the way, I forgot, I feel the reason the Jazz brass were not happy about Nick's representation at that game wasn't necessarily just because they were there. It's because who they were having dinner with before and after the game, and it wasn't Donovan, but it was not Ty Sullivan and company.
Yeah.
Donovan's agent and former agent.
Totally.
All right, let's move on to the rest of the NBA.
NBA playoffs. We got a series finish last night.
Last night, the Miami Heat
beat a listless 76er team that did not want to be there.
James Harden.
Two shot attempts in the second half.
He looked drunk. He looked tired.
Did you see all the comments after the game by Embiid and everything? Embiid well, he's not the James Harden that he used to be. It's like he's still in his prime, supposedly. You're paying him $45 million. Like, he's supposed to be that guy.
See, Joel Embiid says things like Rudy Gobert says them, but in much harsher terms.
Oh, he's so much harsher.
And no one gives Embiid any guff
he
about
just
it.
Tore him apart. He's just like, yeah, not quite the guy we thought we'd have.
And whereas a guy of Gobert says something similar about Donovan not being good at defense, it's the end of the world. Anyway.
It could be good for the Jazz, though.
It could be.
I mean, the Sixers are going to break some stuff up, because I would love to get Tobias Harris on the Jazz.
Well, those are two teams, the Jazz and Sixers, who are contenders year in and year out, but then fall flat in the playoffs.
And maybe trading star kind of things, that could work. I mean, I told you, my trade that I love is the Thibault and Harris for Mitchell.
I would love it too, yeah.
I like that trade.
Tonight, you've got Golden State, Memphis. Golden State up 3-2. So if Golden State wins
After Memphis smoked them, though, on their floor in a closeout game.
Without Ja. Yeah.
That's why you don't touch it.
How about they just trade Conley for Ja and give Memphis back their golden cow?
I don't think we can get Ja.
No, I don't think Memphis is prepared for that.
I don't think they're doing that.
A lot of Memphis fans are like, oh, yeah, there was a guy here named Conley at once, wasn't there? Game 7, the best.
I don't know on that one, though. Who do you like in that game tonight?
Memphis, Golden State. Golden State.
In Memphis? You think they
Golden
close them
State by 20.
They're saying that Ja's saying he's out for the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Golden State.
Bone bruise in the knee from the cheap pull.
That game, that was cute what Memphis did the other night. Golden State will end that tonight.
What about Dallas Suns Game 7? Dallas looked good in Game 6.
3 best syllables in sports, Game 7. And I think it's Phoenix, especially with the extra rest. It's weird that they're going 2 full days and nights between Game 6 and 7. Yeah. Yeah, in Phoenix at was that Talking Stick Arena now? Is what it's called?
That's just the thing about Dallas, is their defense is really good.
Yeah.
They've been able to show that. They show that against the Jazz. And if Dallas gets hot, and they've gotten hot in this playoff, they've had some games where they've just been smoking hot, I think they can win that game. I think it's going to be close. And if Dallas makes more than 42% of their threes, I think they win that game.
Well, I think the NBA would like Luka Doncic to win that game, if you are buying into conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
In the East, we mentioned Miami is representing in the conference finals, and then we'll find out tonight if Milwaukee can close out Boston.
3-2 against Boston right now.
This is at the Garden tonight.
I think Boston wins that game. I think it goes Game 7.
It should. We deserve as basketball fans a Game 7.
Two of the best teams in the league right there, and that's going to be a great Game 7.
Before we close out with a little BYU-Utah news, here's your first clue for the Top Gun Maverick tickets. Now you have to, when you put this in, it's a passphrase, but it's really a password, so no spaces between these words, and you got to type them in exactly as we say them.
I got to write this down so I can win.
So Anthony Swenson out on the product specials out there already was like, oh, how do I get tickets? Like, you got to enter, man. You got to. All right, so the first word is that. I feel like I'm on that password game.
That.
The password is
just that.
That.
T-H-A-T, that.
T-H-A-T, that.
Wow.
Capitals matter? Do capitals matter? Do we know?
We're getting
all lowercase.
Did you pick that one? We're getting really creative.
Yeah. That. Not pronouns.
I
Prepositions.
should have a big thing up here saying that.
Preposition.
They didn't tell me the code beforehand. They don't trust me to not leak it.
Okay, that's part 1 of 3. So stay tuned. All right, we'll close out sports now. BYU was mad when Utah
killed their
big-timed
series.
them.
They're so big time. We don't play you guys anymore. So what do they do right when they get the Big 12? We're not playing Utah State anymore.
We'll keep Southern Utah and Dixie State on the schedule going forward.
They play them this year, though.
Who's that?
BYU play Utah State this year?
No.
No, so they're out.
I think it included this coming season.
Brutal.
The next 4, they had 4 on the books, and all 4 are gone.
So they had to pay them. They had to pay an exit, right?
Yes.
They had to pay in the exit.
But I understood why Utah did what they did at the time. I understand why BYU is doing what they do at this time, but I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I mean, I'm a Utah fan, and I hate BYU more than anything, but I think they should play them.
Yeah, it should be a rule. I think Florida State should play every year.
I think they should have to play at least every other year. There should be a rule so BYU should have Utah on the schedule one year, Utah State the next year, and go alternate.
And when they're not on the schedule, do an alumni flag football game for charity.
Right.
Something like that.
And Utah's better than BYU, so it should be like a 2-for-1, 2 at Utah and 1 at BYU, right?
Yeah, okay, all right. Tom Homo said, we're grateful to Utah State, blah, blah, blah. We don't have them on the schedule beyond 22. Oh, so they are holding on to this one. Blah, blah, blah. We will continue to blah, blah, harumph.
I wonder what the buyout was.
A lot of tithing. Oh, no, they don't take tithing for those things. At least we're told that's the case.
All right.
No comment?
No comment. We're going to go onward.
All right, 10% of our show down. All right.
10% of the revenues from today's show.
All right, I can take this hat off next segment, right?
Yeah, if you want to. Did I wore the BYU hat the whole time?
Yeah, Ashley's
I
over
did
there
wear it the
shaking
whole
her head.
time. I wore it the whole show.
No, she's telling me I can't take it off.
Okay, yeah. Good.
Yeah, whatever.
That's close.
Coming up next, wheels. Jeff has a new toy. We have a lot of news involving transportation here in the state of Utah. Great opportunities around Memorial Day for you and our partners here at Mark Miller Subaru. And part 2 of our passphrase for the Top Gun Maverick tickets. No. It was that.
No,
Who's on second? Who's on first? What's on second?
We'll get to wheels.
All right, coming up next.
My name is Sierra Hudson. My Subaru is safety for my family. So this past winter, we hit a black ice and we just started to slide. And it was just one of those moments where you truly feel helpless. I know it's a car, but it means so much more to us and our family. Subaru is one of the safest brands, and I've personally lived that. Subaru is a brand you can trust, and Mark Miller Subaru is the local Utah retailer that you will love.
All right, welcome back. Segment 2, Wheels.
Wheels.
Here.
My new wheels.
Yeah, here's Jeff's new wheels.
New wheels. Brand new 2022
So,
WRX GT. And
is it as cool as it looks?
He was going to give it away. Not
No,
giving it away. Trying to
joking.
give away my car.
Look, Ashley tweeted out a picture. It was the
Support
same
him.
day.
I hire him, I give him a job, and this is what
Pull
he
my
does.
family out of the gutter. Ashley tweeted out the same day we had this discussion about a big giveaway on the show. I just assumed
But that was it. It's not.
We did have someone reply and say, "Is this available for sale?" And I was like, "Well, right here in the picture, there's
says
big
sold.
old."
Yeah, so I
Sorry.
got driven it 2 days now. It's nice.
You've only had it for 2 days.
I only have it 2 days, yeah. It's fun.
How many speeding tickets so
I
far?
got 0 speeding tickets. My kids tried to get me to
Sounds
speed
like a
the other
challenge,
day, but
Highway
I'm
Patrol.
very responsible.
Oh yeah. The eyesight controls that.
But it's really
Eyesight
cool.
technology.
It's very controllable. It has an adjustable drive, so you can adjust the steering, you can adjust the dampeners on the shocks, you can adjust the eyesight to make it more. I guess it checks the distances differently.
Yeah, if you're racing for pinks on Friday night.
You can even take it so it makes the climate control go down to mild, so that the climate control doesn't go as effective to keep more horsepower in the engine.
Wow.
Like it's to that level. It's fun. I haven't really pushed it yet because I got to give it its 1,000 miles of break-in period because I'm a good Subaru owner. But
once you hit 999.
I know my dad and my brother were talking about taking their Supras out to the track and racing them, so I'm gonna have to take this out and beat them.
Go! Oh yeah. I'll bet it would.
It'll hold its own for
Yeah.
sure.
All right, so there's Jeff's new toy. It is a good-looking car. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. My favorite part of the look of the new WRX is those taillights with the magma flow in
It's
the
cool.
look in
I
them.
saw that thing. It's
pretty cool.
They're very cool in the back.
All right, I want to run something by you, Jeff. Now,
The Gondola?
yeah. So
This is your tweet from the 11th. I even
What did I-
timestamped you.
so there's some things in this article. This is from KSL.com, and it is written by
By a Gondola guy.
the guy that
guy
runs
that's-
Snowbird.
Yeah.
And owns a company that will give
Do
the
the
gondola.
gondola.
Yeah. So it is biased, and it has an agenda. But there are some facts in there that the UTA bus people don't want you to know about, including a couple quotes here. As we surveyed Utah residents about their preference for how UDOT should proceed, the initial feedback was a preference for buses. That sentiment changed significantly with education about the safety and reliability of gondolas, and most telling, and this one stuck out to me, Jeff, one thing didn't change. Utahns said they had no intention of using
Yeah,
an
if they expand the
extended bus
buses, we're not
service.
going to use it.
So take our tax dollars, do more buses, and no one else is getting on those buses. That next quote on the other side, building a 4-lane highway up Little Cottonwood Canyon would have tremendous impacts on the precious canyon, watershed, climbing, bouldering. He does admit here there's no question that gondola towers would have a visual impact in the canyon, but the actual area of disturbance of gondolas is 2 acres versus a new
50
road would be
acres of work
50.
that they'd have to do to expand it and all the
Yeah.
construction. And one thing you got to say on it is, they do have a point, and I get the idea from a thing you're just going to see a gondola line up, but if you go to like Europe and all these places and stuff, there's something to the idea of a gondola up a beautiful canyon, and it's an experience,
Yeah.
right? There is, without question, something to the idea that there is an experience in that gondola going up. And I mean, he puts it that no one's flying in from out of town to take a bus up the canyon.
Yeah.
But
Fly your clients in and
there really is there is some truth to the fact that people will fly in to take a gondola up Big Cottonwood Canyon.
think of the Travel Utah commercials.
Oh yeah,
that
you'll
could
have
come
this
out,
beautiful gondola going up the thing, and
in all seasons.
so it'll be interesting to see where it ends up. But
So I'm Team Gondola. He points out a few things I think make sense there.
I mean, they've got to figure out something, and this is all for the ski resorts too. Like,
Oh,
we
sure.
talk for the hiking and all that kind of stuff, but really it's about getting people to the ski resorts, and the most effective way to do it is probably the gondola.
He also said Snowbird will pay for its employees and season pass holders to ride the gondola as we do now for the ski bus.
So if you have an Icon pass or a thing like that, you probably get to use the gondola for free.
Yeah, and that they'll work. It's not just going to be the state of Utah controlling and maintaining those gondolas. But I'd love to hear our listeners' feedback on that. And then we don't have a slide for this one, but there were actually the entire Inland Port Authority board
Before you
changed.
get into that,
Okay, yeah.
one more thing on this, though.
Yeah.
An interesting thing that's in that article, they talk about the conservation easement. That's a huge thing.
So explain that
So
to
what a
us.
conservation easement, my wife did real estate for a while, and she actually was involved in a few of these up in Park City, is that people who own land can donate that land to a conservation easement and get a tax write-off for the amount of land they donate it. But what it does is it secures that land that it can never be developed. So it's basically like you protect the land for future generations, and you get a tax write-off for the value of your land. So like Swanner Preserve in Park City, so like where like the area by Kimball Junction, all that land behind it there's no development in it, that's what it was. The conservation easement, so it will never be built on, which is what it should be.
That's our promise partner, Summit Land Conservancy. That's what they do.
They do a lot of that. That's what they do. Is they build these conservation easements to protect open space.
Okay, yeah. So that's important too.
Part of this is they've agreed. Snowbird's basically agreed to some of the property they own to put in a conservation easement to never be developed.
That'd be great.
So there is a trade-off where they're going to protect more land as part of this.
Because there is a fear of some people with the gondola that then you see all that land passing the gondola passes developed into homes and whatever.
Totally.
Okay, and then the Inland Port Authority, Jeff, the whole board changed. Everybody was ousted, not ousted.
With no representation from Salt Lake City either on the new board.
No, I thought there was.
I thought there's nobody from Salt Lake City.
I thought there was one.
There's one now, so they got one spot.
But my problem...
For an inland board that's in Salt Lake City?
And all due respect to those who were on the board and are now on the board, my problem with the Inland Port Authority board, Jeff, has always been every one of those people on that board benefits financially from the inland port.
That's the problem. That's the problem with that.
It's like Greg Hughes making real estate changes.
It's the problem with everything in our legislature is that the number of land developers in our legislature would baffle you.
Yeah.
And they're making laws.
Probably 85%.
To make the money. And you talk about, they should have, every one of them should have had to recuse themselves from the vote on the prison.
100%.
And they didn't. They voted on it, and they voted to make themselves money.
Yep.
They own land around the prison site, and they voted to make themselves money, and that's a huge issue in our political world. And it goes. I think there's some on both sides, but it's mostly in the Utah side. It's mostly the people in control.
You've been invited to be on boards. You'll be invited to be on boards the rest of your life, whether you want to or not, Jeff, just because of what you do in our community.
And every board I'm invited to be on, I sign a clause saying if this involves me personally or affects my business, I recuse myself from the decision.
That's a requirement you have?
Absolutely. Yeah. Or I will pull myself off the board.
Yeah.
Because it's not the right thing. The idea is on nonprofit boards or government boards and things like that, you can't do things that would affect you personally because now you're making decisions for your own wallet, not for the greater good that you're supposed to be representing.
Well, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
That's my thoughts.
And
that's my soapbox.
And we'll talk more about the inland port in future shows because it's a big deal here in the state of Utah. I want to mention this before we close Wheels, our Promise Partner of the Week. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Utah, a big partner here at Mark Miller Subaru. And with our our Top Gun Maverick showing coming up on June 2nd. By the way, the second part of the phrase, remember, all lowercase, no spaces. We gave you the first word. The second word is lovin'.
Lovin'.
And you have to...
I could guess the third one.
You have to put it in exactly as we say it. Lovin'.
Do you need the apostrophe?
No punctuation.
No punctuation.
Just letters.
Lovin'.
Okay, yeah, lovin'.
Trying to help.
Yeah, Jeff's a helper. I'm swiper, no swiping over here. Oh, man. I have kids.
As a part of the thing, so Big Brothers, Big Sisters, they're going to have drop boxes at the theater. So when you come to do it, you can drop off clothes.
Yeah, clothes is a big need. They have a big clothing donation around the corner.
Big thing.
Shoes socks and shoes.
Yep.
But clothing, so when you come, if you're one of the lucky people that gets into the show with us, please bring some clothes with you that night and help us
literally a block away,
the
there's a Big Brothers, Big Sister drop-off zone, just to the east of them.
Yep.
Just the west of them.
West of them,
on the other side of McDonald's.
Yep, for sure. All right, and then also on Memorial Day weekend, Operation Hero. This is an organization started by the widow of a service member who gave his life for the fight for freedom around the world. Lieutenant Stapley, I think, his rank, I think it was lieutenant, but Antoinette, his widow, started this. You've probably seen the boot displays before.
And we were lucky to have it at Southtown a couple years ago.
It made Southtown sacred ground.
Yeah, that show
for the moments those boots were there.
3-4 weeks.
This year, like last year, will be on display at Farmington's Station Park, and you can volunteer to give some time and help set up, take down, and monitor the display. Just search out Operation Hero, sign up there, and donate some of your time. It will be worthy activity on Memorial Day weekend for you.
Absolutely.
All right, coming up next, we'll wrap up this week's edition, episode 15, with some reels, some movie talk.
More Top Gun talk. We got to talk about it 2 weeks in a row. Come on.
And a really, really terrible looking movie coming out tonight.
Perfect.
My name's Jamie Usry, and my Subaru is Freedom. I've had so many animals over the years. One of the things that I love about Mark Miller Subaru is they're the largest animal welfare supporter in the Salt Lake Valley. You may not even realize it, but they're probably supporting a nonprofit that you love in the community. And my wife and I, our daughter Harper, and our dogs, we're just so happy that we picked Mark Miller Subaru. Subaru is a brand that I trust, and Mark Miller Subaru is the local retailer that I love.
All right, wrapping this week's edition up with some movie talk. And Jeff, before we dive into the bullet points of what we want to mention, you were talking to me off air.
This involves Top Gun. Though,
okay,
so
all right.
the Top Gun thing. So I was trying to get my...
I hate this stupid hat. Turn it around.
No.
There's no rule against turning it around.
It doesn't show Lakers anymore. Get out of here.
So stupid.
So I was trying to get my 9-year-old son prepared to watch Top Gun 2. Right, the new one. So I assume it's rated. What's Top Gun 2 rated? PG-13.
13, I think.
PG-13, right?
Yeah.
But we'll let him watch. We'll cover his eyes for the bad.
How old is he?
He's 9, turning 10.
All right, so
he's basically 10.
All the stuff he sees in there, he knows about.
Yeah, he already knows all about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went and watched the first Top Gun, which is rated PG, by the way. And there's no way that movie's rated PG in this modern age. There's so much swearing in there. There's a sex scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Take me to bed and lose me forever. Like, that's not PG. So then we watch another movie.
The volleyball scene is soft core, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Then we watch another movie. We watch Temple of Doom. Indiana Jones Temple of Doom is rated PG.
Yeah, and
they literally, there's literally a scene in that where he sticks his hand in the guy's chest and pulls out his heart.
Which always reminds me of the Dumb and Dumber scene.
No, yeah, it totally is. Right? But yeah, this is crazy that's PG.
Major League would be R now.
And, yeah,
so
it's amazing the ratings back in the day. What we let our kids watch. And I guess I turned out fine. That was in the 80s. I was watching movies at that point.
I wasn't supposed to be watching. I did, and I didn't turn out fine at all.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Look what I'm not doing with my life.
More of a 90s guy, though.
I am? Yeah, I guess. 85, so I missed the 80s because I was a kid.
You're a baby.
Yeah, yep. All right, Top Gun Maverick. We asked ourselves last week, Jeff.
About Val Kilmer.
That's
we want
right.
to know how involved he was.
Is he in the movie? Val Kilmer will be in Top Gun Maverick. It won't just be his picture.
No, we thought it was just a picture, but he's actually in it.
And that's because Tom Cruise fought really hard to get him in the movie. Now, how much will we see of him? Says here, I rallied really hard for him to make the movie, the kind of talent he has, and you see that scene. It's very special. Speaking of a powerful scene in the film.
It was very emotional for Cameron Cruise. So what happens? Does he die? Does something happen?
Yeah. Bruckheimer said it was emotional. And how much? Is it just one scene? I know Val Kilmer.
They're doing a really good job keeping this thing secret.
Yeah, and he's got major health issues.
Oh, yeah.
So he probably could not make a full movie. And he said in his memoir recently that he almost pretty much had to beg his way onto Top Gun, which probably means he called up Tom and said, hey, I'm not part of it, and Tom threw a fit, and they put him in it. But he said, he was calling it Top Gun Maverick. Tom was Maverick, but Maverick's nemesis was Iceman. The two went together like salt and pepper. It didn't matter that the producers didn't contact me, as the Temptations sang, ain't too proud to beg.
I'm glad he did, though, because it wouldn't have been right without him in it.
Yeah, that lovin' feelin' would be a little less. And by the way, that's your third word, feelin'.
Lovin', feelin'.
That lovin' feelin'.
Is it feeling or feelin'?
Feelin'.
Feelin'.
Just like the song says.
F-E-E-L-I-N.
Yes.
No G's.
And no capitals
G's
and
on
no
either of
spaces. That lovin' feelin'.
All right.
Come see Top Gun Maverick with us.
That one up.
All right, coming out tonight, Firestarter, a remake.
So if you've ever seen this poster, the poster that's on the board right here, the actual original poster is identical.
Yeah.
But it's Drew Barrymore. It's like 6-year-old Drew Barrymore in that same pose.
And it reminds me a little bit of, it's almost like Les Mis goes Chucky.
Right? Some Stephen King
poster.
action.
It's like Cosette and Satan all together.
That's a scary-looking little girl.
I wanted to read you the synopsis of this film and see if you want to see it. A couple desperately try to hide their daughter, Charlie, from a shadowy federal agency that wants to harness her unprecedented gift for turning fire into a weapon of mass destruction. Easy, George W. Her father taught her how to diffuse her power, but as Charlie turns 11, the fire becomes harder and harder to control. What does this sound like to you?
Frozen.
Frozen. Right. Now,
It's like a fire version of Frozen.
Right.
It's amazing. And you don't think this is going to be good?
It's going to be horrendous. I think it has a 4 out of 10 right now at IMDb. Anyway, that's exactly what I thought was this is Frozen. But fire and evilness.
So we can do. So the cool thing is when this is all over, we can do a crossover.
Yeah.
We can combine
Elsa versus Satan.
Firestarter and Frozen.
Well,
Fire versus ice.
Unbelievable, stupid, just dumb. Go see it, I guess. I won't be. If you're staying in and not going to the theater, I have a recommendation for mom and dad. A documentary.
Netflix documentary.
It's called White Hot: The Rise and Fall of Abercrombie and
It's pretty
Fitch.
disturbing.
Yeah, I haven't watched the whole thing yet. It's really good, what I've seen, but it made me real sick to my stomach a few times.
What they were doing on the marketing side to teenagers.
And race involved, and it was just. But it's eye-opening. Mom and Dad would enjoy that. And then for the family, Jeff, over the weekend.
One of the best movie series ever.
Right?
Because they nailed all the sequels too.
Underrated.
I love that
series.
Museum. My kids love it too. Like we go back and watch all of them.
Well, I watched the original with my 3-year-old yesterday.
2006.
I couldn't believe
16 years old.
I was almost 16 at the time when I
Ben
came out.
Ben Stiller was young.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and his mother, Kate Mira, is in this. She's the employment agency lady.
Is she?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Of Mira and Stiller, his dad. All right, so that's my recommendation for the family. It's on Netflix right now. I think it's fantastic. I think every character in that movie is great.
Right?
From Teddy Roosevelt with Robin Williams to Owen Wilson.
I would absolutely recommend going back and watching the entire series. Are there 4 of them, 5 of them, 3 of them?
3, I think,
3 of
Jeff.
them?
Yeah.
They're
not Disney.
They're all good.
They are now, technically. 20th century. But
I think they were bought by Disney, so I think they're actually owned by Disney.
I think so. All right. That's it for episode 15 of the Sports Wheels and Reels podcast. We're halfway to 30.
Good show. We are halfway.
We're halfway done.
30, we're over.
All right, he's Jeff Miller. I'm Austin Horton. To Ashley.
Next week we'll have the results from the next bet.
That's right.
We will have the second round bet finished by next week, so we'll know who wears the next bad hat.
And we'll have a new installment of bets.
And who knows? Maybe the Jazz will make a trade in the next 7 days.
No, they wouldn't do that, would they?
Before the draft.
Before the draft.
You never know. It's fair game.
They don't have a lot of picks in the years
maybe
coming.
They want to get some picks.
Yeah, maybe so. All right, for Ashley and Mike behind the scenes, I'm Austin. We'll see you next week. Until then, Utah by 5.
Trust me.
Yeah.